Story 1. Every girl's period pain level is different. Don't ask why Nancy's period isn't painful while mine is. Good for Nancy. No, I don't want to exercise the pain away, at least not for the first 2 days. Story 2. Endometriosis can be very severe. It is not just a painful period. It can be life-ruining. Story 3. Women like having their backs scratched too. I have scratched the back of every boyfriend I have had, but none of them ever offered to return the favor. It is not only the backs of men that get itchy. Story 4. Some men feel safe to me and others don't. I can't always articulate why, but I trust myself when I do. Story 5. I can stand up to your misogynistic friend, but I will be labeled a bitch and written off. You need to tell him that he treats women badly and that it is not okay. Story 6. Women are not as different from you as you think. Yes, we do need that massive amount of toilet paper. Story 7. Just because we are nice and laugh at your jokes, it does not mean we want to sleep with you. Story 8. When people have menstrual periods, they cannot simply hold the blood in. It is not urine. That would be like asking someone to hold in the bleeding from a large cut on their arm. Story 9. Just because a woman in pornography seemed to be enjoying it does not mean a real woman will. Check first. I do not want to gag, be choked, or have any bodily fluids involved. Some of us are not into that at all. I am happily married to someone as vanilla as I am, but some of the stories my friends tell about being intimate with new partners for the first time are nightmarish. Story 10. If I tell you I am a veteran, I do not want to hear your opinion on women in combat. Women never do this to me, but with men it is 50-50 whether I am going to get a long-winded lecture on how we are not designed for warfare. I was not even in combat. I set up telephone lines. It felt like working at American Telephone and Telegraph. Story 11. As a woman, I wish more men understood that being cautious is not the same as being rude. We are constantly assessing situations for safety even during normal, everyday moments. It is exhausting to have to explain that it is not personal. It is just how we move through the world. Story 12. We are prone to autoimmune diseases and many reproductive conditions that are widely undertreated and underdiagnosed because our pain is seen as normal and something we must endure. Many women pretend to be fine. Story 13. Many of us spent our formative years being told to calm down, not to get emotional, and that expressing anger was unseemly or inappropriate. Because of that, we never learned healthy ways to express anger. Crying became our only acceptable outlet. Now, as grown women, we sometimes still cry when we are angry. It is an ingrained response, not a manipulation tactic. Story 14. No matter who made the mess in the house, even if it was the husband with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, guests and in-laws will judge the woman for the house being unclean rather than the man. Story 15. All the nice, thoughtful, and sweet things your woman does for you are completely reciprocated. Story 16. Just because it is natural for our bodies to create and carry life does not mean it is safe or easy or that it cannot sometimes cause lifelong harm. Story 17. Women are different. Not every girl likes the same girly things or shares the same experiences growing up. Not all girls hate each other. We do not always do things for men or exist for them. Not every woman is emotional. There are cold, heartless women, and some men are more feminine than some women. Story 18. How being indirect is very much a survival strategy for women. I sympathize with many men who get upset when women do not say what they mean, because I am more direct. What many of those men do not understand is that in most situations being direct is the unwise choice for a woman. Men are encouraged to be direct, so when a man is direct it is usually treated positively. But when a woman is direct she is often labeled mean, bossy, rude, or worse, and that matters especially in dangerous situations. As much as I would like to be direct, 9 times out of 10 directly telling a person who keeps touching you to stop is more likely to increase the risk of harm. When you are the physically weaker gender, and 50% of the population can overpower you, that is not a risk you are willing to take. Without physical strength on your side, you may have no choice but to be indirect if you want to protect yourself or avoid being ostracized in some environments. Story 19. We require a bit more effort to reach orgasm during sex, but I want to orgasm every time. Story 20. Female anatomy can be uncomfortable to sit on sometimes, just like male anatomy, but it can also leak randomly. Story 21. The mental load. Also, it's strange that in some relationships you suddenly become the coordinator of your significant other's relationship with their family. Story 22. How often you are dismissed, ignored, or not believed, even over the most mundane things. Story 23. I'm tired of explaining why my husband and I haven't had children. I usually say the timing is wrong, we do not have enough money, and we want to buy a house. The reality is I will likely not survive childbirth because of my health. So why would we bring a child into the world when it would probably mean their mother dying on the day they are born? When I tell people that, they tell me to try anyway. Story 24. Sometimes you need to come up with the idea to do nice, helpful things on your own. I do not expect you to be psychic, just consider it. A man got mad that I dumped an ex for not visiting me while I was comatose in the hospital for 9 days. I was in a coma and unconscious for 9 days, unable to speak. I could not ask, and I should not have had to. Story 25. The comedian Daniel Sloss wrote a special called X several years ago, which is genuinely fantastic. It is very funny but also very serious. The subject matter is that a woman he knew was raped by a mutual male friend. I wish all men could watch it, especially the final section. Story 26. I get the feeling that men think we take for granted how available sex is. They might, until they experience the fear that can come with unwanted attention. They assume we should want exactly what they want. This is not gender specific. I often see people belittling the hardships and annoyance of unwanted attention. They think there is no downside and that pretty privilege should outweigh the bad experiences. Story 27. Every woman you have ever met has experienced sexual assault of some kind. Story 28. Interacting with us cannot be automated. This is hard to explain, so bear with me. I swear to God, most communication problems I have with men boil down to a pattern. For example, a boyfriend might massage my feet and I will respond positively. Then he will try to do it again while I am working and I will ask him to stop because it is distracting. He becomes upset and says the other day you liked it, now you hate it, so which is it? It is as if I am being hypocritical for existing in different contexts and must give him a list of all the times it is or is not okay so that he never has to risk being rejected. No matter how politely I reject men in these situations, they still ask how I could possibly know what I will want every single day until the end of time so that this never happens again. This is probably a small example because most of the issues are smaller and more subtle, but it frustrates me deeply. It makes me feel like I have to spend all my time managing men's emotions instead of just existing. Story 29. Even though most men would not accost, assault, or rape a woman if they encountered her on a dark street with no one watching, we still must be wary in case we meet a man who would because there is almost always such a man waiting in the shadows. Story 30. I wish men understood that these kinds of posts are generally meant to outline the things we as women feel are misunderstood or dismissed. They are not an attack. They are an attempt at communication. There is no need to get defensive. I would welcome a male version of this post to help women understand what men feel are misunderstood or dismissed. Story 31. There are no cleaning fairies. If something in the house is suddenly cleaner, it is because I did it. Story 32. Women in the workplace are not your girlfriends or housewives. Treat us like professionals. Story 33. The reason we use so much toilet paper has been answered. Story 34. Do you want a wife and kids, or do you want to be a husband and father? Some men don't get the difference. Story 35. Keep joking insults off the table until you know a woman well and know she likes that kind of joking. Not every woman does. While some men enjoy insulting each other playfully as a form of bonding, women do not typically do that with each other. Those joking insults often do not go over well when a woman directs them at a man. Some men do not take it well when a woman humiliates or embarrasses him, even when it is meant as a joke. This is despite him doing the same to her and expecting her to accept it and move on. As a result, a woman can receive dark humor, jokes, and insults directed at her and be unable to respond. She may shut down and be told she is overreacting. That is why a woman can get upset and the man will say it was just a joke and not understand why she is upset, since he and his friends say those things to each other all the time. Story 36. The cervix hurts. Stop arguing with us when you say it is just a little pinch during a biopsy. Story 37. We do not find a man's penis nearly as interesting as others do. I do not want a photo, and I do not want to discuss whether you are circumcised or its size, length, or thickness. Even on a dating app, it is jarring when your penis appears in the conversation without an invitation. Flirty chats may go that way, and that is fine. There is a time and a place for everything. I often receive this kind of information before someone has even told me their name, and it turns me off. Story 38. Our default setting in public is caution. We are not being dramatic, cold, or rude. We are constantly assessing tone, distance, exits, and how to say no politely enough that it does not escalate. That mental load is always running in the background, even on normal days. It is exhausting to explain because it is not about one bad experience. It is about a lifetime of small ones adding up. We just want that reality to be believed without having to justify it every time. Story 39. Being a woman means living with a background fear that never fully turns off. We plan our routes. We check reflections. We clutch keys. We text when we get home. We assess men's moods in elevators. We calculate what we are wearing, the time, how dark it is, and how alone we are. We smile when we are uncomfortable because anger can escalate things. We are polite when we are scared because no can be dangerous. Have you ever been afraid walking to your car at night? Not nervous, but afraid? Have you ever worried that rejecting someone could get you followed, stalked, or hurt? Have you ever shared your live location, just in case? Have you ever rehearsed how to escape a situation before it even became one? And the exhausting part. We are told we are paranoid, dramatic, or overreacting until something happens. Then we are asked what we were wearing, why we were alone, why we did not do more to protect ourselves. We do not want special treatment. We want men to understand that our caution is survival, not mistrust, and that we have been taught it for a reason. Story 40. Hormone fluctuations and birth control is not one size fits all. Being on birth control is awful. Yes, my skin is clear and I do not have periods, yay. But it seriously affects my mood and libido. Story 41. My daily life is not at all the same as a man's. Please stop dismissing or disbelieving women when they talk about their lives. Educate yourselves. Learn empathy. It is exhausting to teach people my own age that others may have different life experiences. Story 42. It is striking how different our experiences are in living in the world as the genders we are. I have a friend who transitioned from male to female, and she regularly shares how humbled and saddened she has been on her journey through the looking glass. She has noticed many changes since transitioning. Her words matter less, her safety is compromised, increased leering, and fewer job opportunities. It is disheartening. She understood this intellectually before, but living it has been sobering for her. I wish all men had the same understanding she now does. Story 43. I would always rather be sent a face photo than an explicit photo. When I do look at an explicit photo, it is to check for any warning signs of sexually transmitted diseases, not because I am turned on by it. Story 44. We are tired of the mental load. Wanting to help in the household makes us the project manager mother taking care of everything while the man is treated like an intern. This dynamic kills any romantic attraction. It is almost impossible to feel like someone's mother and lover at the same time. Story 45. The mainstream porn industry makes me feel deeply uncomfortable. The women you see in those videos are real people, and they are often groomed into the job and abused during it. The material that appears on homepages is frequently about incest, very young-looking performers, groping, choking, gagging, and destroying or wrecking women's bodies. The content is often racist. It is violent and degrading, yet it has become part of daily life. Knowing that your partner, colleagues, or friends may regularly watch it can be deeply saddening. This is not about people having consensual kinks. It is about getting arousal from watching real-life women experience harm. Not all women feel this way, but many do, and they often keep it secret for fear of being labeled a prude, which breaks my heart. I am not prudish in the bedroom, but every time I watch a documentary about the porn industry, I feel punched in the gut. I wish more women would open up to their partners and discuss alternatives, such as more ethical sites, written erotica, audio erotica, or simply no porn. If you are in a relationship, this can improve your sex life. For the love of God, do not assume women want to be treated like porn performers. Maybe some do, but do not choke or harm someone without first having a conversation about consent. Consent is essential and arousing. Story 46. Sometimes I'm just sad or mad for no reason. Hormones do wild things. I can't explain it. You can't solve this, but you can get me a beer and a sweet treat while we ride it out. Story 47. I married a close friend from high school. Our friend group used to get together for game nights, staying up all night playing video games. Once we were dating adults by that point, I had to explain that I never went to game nights, not because they did not sound fun, but because I would have been one of the only girls there, surrounded by a group of boys. He said they would never have hurt me and that we were all friends. I had to explain that it did not matter, because many girls are taken advantage of by boys or men whom they thought were their friends. Only then did he understand. Story 48. Your fear of women is being rejected. Our fear of men is being murdered. Story 49. All of it, because this question has been asked 50,000 times and men are not reading it. Story 50. Existing in a world that hates us is beyond exhausting. The constant mental load of checking behind you when you are walking, of having to think about what to say so you do not come across as bitchy, and the fact that only 1% of rapists spend time in prison, even though every woman I have met has experienced some form of sexual harassment, are overwhelming. I feel unrelenting rage and hormonal fluctuations every month. Yet I have to keep going about my life as if I were a normal person. Story 51. Just because what you said was meant in a kind or innocent way, the last man who used those words probably tried to attack us. It's not you. It's the men around you. Story 52. How utterly constant the unwanted attention and unsolicited direct messages are. Story 53. We do not have it easier because we experience unwanted attention from men. Story 54. More women would be comfortable with hookups or one-night stands, but the fear factor exists for a reason. A disrespectful or inconsiderate partner can lead to unsatisfying sexual experiences that leave a person more frustrated than before. It can cause feelings of being used or humiliated, undermine self-worth, and increase the risk of sexually transmitted diseases, unintended pregnancy, and other concerns. There is also the risk of physical assault, such as being overpowered and unable to defend oneself, sexual assault, serious injury, or death. Determining whether someone can be trusted takes time, and people can still be mistaken. Story 55. We live in a different world from them. Just because they do not see it does not invalidate our lived experience. Story 56. Men consume far too much pornography, and it does not help them in the bedroom. Story 57. Women do not orgasm on demand just because men ask during sex. If she says she did while simply having sex, trust me, she is lying. It is strictly an ego boost for him. Story 58. We are not that weak in comparison. Yes, you outdo us in strength pretty handily, but Jesus Christ, I can lift a box of books without some guy coming along and ripping it out of my hand because he thinks he is helping. If I need help, I will ask. I am an adult. Story 59. I can be exhausted after a full night's sleep and after a nap. I'm not being lazy. I literally have a hard time staying awake. Story 60. Why women chose the bear, laughing out loud. Women living their lives are not seeking attention from men, disrespectful, or inviting interaction. Women being rightfully cautious does not mean they hate men or you. They are cautious because life for women is extremely dangerous. Statistically, men pose a significant danger to women. Edit. Laughing loudly, some men became upset in the comments over the bear. They really do not like facts, apparently. Story 61. Stop trying to fit me into a mold of what you think I should be. Your effort should be spent getting to know me as I am. Story 62. When we say no to a date with you, it means we do not want to go. Stop being persistent as if it will change our minds. except no the first time. Story 63. The orgasm deficit. Don't be selfish. You started a job, now finish it. Story 64. Just because we see things differently, it doesn't mean we're inherently stupid. Story 65. Being rude to a woman is not a form of humor. You are just annoying and unfunny, or you need an excuse to put others down to feel big. Shut the fuck up. Story 66. As a man, let me say what women are tired of explaining. They do not feel safe around most men, they are not taken seriously by doctors, and they are tired of being expected to carry the mental labor. Story 67. People are treated differently if they are male or female from the moment they are born, and 99% of the reasons we tend to act in certain ways are social rather than biological. Even so, individuals remain unique despite shared experiences, so generalizing about any group is not helpful. The belief that women are innately nurturing is reductive on multiple levels. Story 68. Just because I am super cute and sexy does not mean I do not have thoughts, feelings, knowledge, interests, anxiety, chronic depression, and so on. Story 69. Simply being a woman is treated as inherently embarrassing, and men bully us and each other for traits commonly associated with femininity. It is hard to gain respect or connect with someone when they see you as a joke and not worth listening to. Because those in power are often straight white men who view us this way, important opportunities and connections are harder to come by. The fact that men built the world we have now is not something to boast about. It is the opposite. Story 70. I can't stop explaining patriarchy because I think it is central to understanding the world and addressing the crises we face. Story 71. To the man-children of the world. Not everything has to be a debate or a fight. It should be us versus the problem, not deflection, defensiveness, or distraction. Sometimes you have to sit in the discomfort or do things you do not want to. But for the love of God, do not rely on your women to take on your physical or mental labor. That is childish and, frankly, abusive. Story 72. How much we have to perform. Makeup and uncomfortable clothing. How devastating it is to be considered ugly when we are simply comfortable in our own homes. We spend money on makeup, birth control, bras, hair, and so on. These are expenses that men typically do not have, and we usually earn less. Story 73. It is much harder to exist in society. I rarely feel completely safe unless I am at home or at the home of someone I am close to. Some men view single women as fair game and feel they can say anything to them or touch them as they please. Women cannot always refuse or turn a man down because he might become angry and retaliate. Women cannot always travel safely alone. When I bring this up to men, they are often surprised. Story 74. It is demeaning to expect women to carry life and reproduce. That is not all I am. Story 75. We do not get turned on by sexual texts about someone being horny, especially daily texts and, even worse, unsolicited explicit photos. Over time you come across as a creep or a predator. Story 76. I am not angry or emotional when I give my opinion in a somewhat loud voice. Story 77. The world is not built with us in mind. You can list a million examples, and men do not realize that these are not isolated incidents. The bias in favor of men and against us is present in everything. Story 78. I am a lesbian, so I am not interested in you. Story 79. Many women begin receiving aggressive sexual attention from men by middle school and later have stories of being sexually harassed by adults as children. The harassment often stops when we leave childhood, which makes it even more frightening and dehumanizing to realize those adults targeted us because we were girls. Story 80. I don't want to have to tell you when things need to be done in the house. We should both live in a clean and tidy environment. I don't always know where to go when we go out, and sometimes I would like him to surprise me. Story 81. Just stop touching us. I do not mean sexual assault, groping, or rape. I am a victim of all of those. You are a stranger. You do not need to touch our back, including our lower back or our shoulders. Hands off. Story 82. The patriarchy is real, and they benefit from it at our expense. Story 83. Sexism exists. Those downvoting me are proving my point. Story 84. The real reason many men are lonely is that other men beat them down, making them feel worthless, in order to uphold an abusive patriarchy. It is not women's fault that some men treat women poorly and then end up lonely. Story 85. Listen to her. I promise it will prevent arguments, stress, heartbreak, and more. Postscript. If I start rambling or repeat the same story, please redirect me back to the original topic of the conversation. Story 86. Misogyny is pervasive in ways that would surprise you. Story 87. I do not want to be sexualized or called beautiful by someone in whom I have no romantic interest. I want that from my boyfriend, but not from a random person on a dating app. Story 88. The manager of friendships. I'm tired of being the manager of male friends' emotions. If I'm nice, they fall in love. If I'm distant, I'm labeled a bitch. I have officially retired from having single male friends because I am tired of constantly checking boundaries. If you are not married to one of my friends, I will keep you at arm's length for my own peace of mind. Story 89. I don't know if it's the same for every woman, but I hate receiving oral sex when I don't feel clean. I know it ruins the mood, but the second he says he wants to get intimate, I get up and rinse my genital area despite his protests. Also, menstrual periods make some of us very tired and, for me, make me less productive at work. I can't get anything done. I just want to eat and sleep. Some men think it's just an excuse, but it's real. Story 90. Sometimes just existing near men is completely terrifying after experiencing a long history of violence. Even my harmless male coworkers terrify me. Story 91. Just because you think it is safe to walk along the street at night does not mean we feel the same. We are always on alert. Story 92. We have premenstrual syndrome, menstrual syndrome, and postmenstrual syndrome. Story 93. This addresses the concept of mental load and emotional labor. Do not ask how you can help. Just help. If you do not know how, look it up. Women are not born knowing how to do household tasks or care for children. We learn and research. Men can do the same without a woman having to explain it to them. Story 94. House chores are for both of us. Not just me because I am the wife, especially since I also have a paid job. If I am on maternity leave and you are not on paternity leave, that does not mean only I must wake up in the middle of the night if our newborn needs something. Story 95. You can approach women in public. Just do not be a creep about it. Try to make eye contact first. If you do not get at least 2 seconds of eye contact, do not engage. Either give her a compliment or start a general conversation. If she does not respond with something engaging, walk away. If she does, ask if you can give your number or ask for hers. Do not throw a tantrum if she says no. Be polite. Story 96. I must be honest. I hate when some men think my nipples become erect only because of them. It is really cold and I am not wearing warm clothes. My body reacts that way. Stop thinking that just because you kissed me I became horny. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.